Hello everyone, this is Carmen Radford welcoming you back to another episode of Calm and Chaos, the space where we discuss motherhood, well-being, and just balancing it all. We cover loads of topics, and so I hope you can find some connection here. Okay, here we go. In this episode, I'll be reading my course reflection essay from my final education course in my degree. It is entitled Connections Between Curriculum, Epistemology, and Reflective Practice. And so with supporting research from readings we focused on in the course, I give my perspective of what I think is essential in education. My experience in teaching began when I was probably 10 years old and began babysitting. And then from there, I coached a number of sports like soccer, basketball, and volleyball. And then after studying piano for many years, I began teaching piano as well. And then I did my bachelor's degree at a university in Vancouver and graduated with a double minor in education and then became a classroom teacher. So this essay was the final one I wrote in university. And for context and why I'm sharing it here, it's because I know that a positive and safe experience in school is vital. And I also received a mark of 100% on this essay, and so that was also encouraging. I really hope it just gives everyone a little bit of insight. If you're not a teacher, if you're not super familiar with the educational system, this is just food for thought. So again, the title is Connections Between Curriculum, Epistemology, and Reflective Practice. Introduction. Mindfulness matters. Learning is an integral part of teaching, and throughout this course, I have learned more about the importance of reflection and responsibility as parts of both pursuits. With reflection brings inquiry, and the combination allows us to delve deeper into concepts, challenge knowledge, and seek reliable information. With my teaching experience, I've always sought to improve my approach by working on professional development and learning new methodology. And my highest priority is the physical, emotional, and mental well-being of every student. It should be highly regarded that, quote, the mind is never passive. It is a perpetual activity, delicate, receptive, responsive to stimulus, end quote, from Whitehead, 1967, page 6. And therefore teachers must be mindful about every part of the classroom experience, with the knowledge that, quote, education is a patient process of the mastery of details, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, end quote. Whitehead, 1967, page 6. The readings in this course challenge educational perspectives and encourage readers or watchers to question knowledge by discussing and exploring various parts of education from different perspectives. Since what is known has the potential to change, both learners and educators may benefit from working on flexibility, adaptability, and accepting the unknown as part of the process. With these notions in mind, reflective practice can become a profound experience that leads to determination to improve and motivation for further research. What has stood out in this course is how curriculum should be versatile and include guidance that is accessible to the variety of learning needs and styles present in each classroom. Inquiry surrounding curriculum is a broad idea, so to narrow the focus for this paper, I will focus on key factors we've discussed throughout this course, including community building, hands-on learning, and real-world connections. Core values in curriculums. Firstly, curriculums may vary throughout the world, but there should be core concepts in each that are universal and work on achieving harmony between all living beings. Core values should demonstrate and cultivate respect and kindness because while one person may create positive change on one's own, what is also of significance, especially in group settings such as schools, is that, quote, power does not lie in the individual, but in their mutual interaction. Hence, democratic power lies in the relationships themselves, end quote, from By 2001, page 308. Educators should first make the classroom environment a safe, comfortable place in which to learn by building a community that has strong core values such as being kind, being patient, and having a positive attitude. Teaching self-regulation helps to guide each child towards understanding themselves, growing compassion for others, interpreting their surroundings, and discovering what they require in order to meet their own needs. The hope is that school is a positive experience in which both successes and challenges are approached with care. So how can we consider alternative approaches to the traditional classroom? What then is the role of a teacher, and how does the definition of this role impact the functionality of a classroom? Of consequence is the way in which a community environment is built and improved upon over time. This occurs most effectively when all members are involved in the process from the beginning, building meaning through both self and social awareness. By, from 2001, page 308, states that, quote, "The power of democracy lies precisely in the collective wisdom that emerges from mutual inquiry, consultation, and deliberation," end quote. By continues that, quote, "When ordinary people put their heads and hearts together, an extraordinary measure of wisdom emerges," end quote, from 2001, page 308. It is explained further that this is not a simple process. Where curriculum can help in this endeavor is by providing guidelines for both educators and students to explore, while creating a safe space for further inquiry and dialogue. Tailoring teaching tactics. Once this foundation for learning has been established, along with effective methods of referencing values upon which the community is being built, academic learning may begin. Moreover, without first checking to ensure the well-being of each student, further learning will not be successful. But how do teachers know how to check in, what to look for, and how to plan for daily life in a classroom with the knowledge that uncertainty and the potential for change are part of every day? Marin, 2011, page 490, discusses a journey of formulating a new perspective towards teaching, stating that, quote, "The idea not only of working toward improving my practice, but also of working towards doing something that might improve the quality of lives for others," end quote, is of particular significance. Reflective practice is a strong method that can work on this concept, and it can be carried out in a number of ways, so teachers and students alike may consider a variety of options in order to find out what works best for them. One example is note-taking throughout the day and revisiting these notes later to identify positive and negative occurrences. In organizing these events for further research, they are being prepared and organized to be addressed accordingly with the intention of making improvements for the future. During this process, it is important to possess, quote, "the capacity to pose critical questions that would examine issues around oppression or power," end quote, from Marin, 2011, page 492. This is a prime example of the connection between reflective practice and inquiry. With a clear outlook on curriculum and more specifically holistic education, as we have discussed in this course, Marin references Miller from 2007 by stating that, quote, "He outlines holistic practice in education in terms of making connections. He lists intuitive connections, body-mind connections, subject connections, community connections, earth connections, and soul connections as being integral to the holistic curriculum," end quote, 2011, page 493 to 494. Addressing academia. In an article by Bautista et al., 2016, page 1, it is stated that, quote, "It is widely recognized that high-quality preschool education must equip children not only with good socio-emotional competencies, values, and dispositions, but also with early academic knowledge and skills that will help them in forming their abilities for lifelong learning," from Wall et al., 2015, end quote. This notion can apply to any age group, though beginning in early education is effective in creating a foundation of expectations and skills that will help guide further educational experience. While we have discussed how democracy can become a positive factor of a functional classroom, With a teacher in a certain role of power, what also needs to be addressed, as cited in Bautista et al., 2016, page 1, is ECE, Early Childhood Education Practitioners, educational and curricular priorities, their learning goals and professional development needs, the understanding of their own professional roles, as well as their educational beliefs and values, from Anders, 2015. Without these first in place, it would not be possible for the curriculum to be implemented authentically. With these in place, there is potential for success in adhering to a curriculum wherein students work on building self-efficacy skills in, quote, both academic and non-academic areas through meaningful activities and to guide their own learning experiences more freely, end quote, from Bautista et al., 2016, page 7. My PDP class was in the unique position of being the first class to be in the program with BC's revised curriculum. As I have discussed in some of my posts in this course, the curriculum includes the core academic subjects and also core competencies, which focus on teaching valuable skills that contribute to a constructive learning environment and a positive disposition towards learning. We were encouraged to become more creative, open-minded, and thoughtful in our approach to teaching, as well as our lesson planning. The priority shifted from academic success through quote-unquote good grades in core subjects to providing a more well-rounded, individualized experience for all students. Engaging in reflective practice is a major part of PDP, and it helped us look back on our own experience in earlier education, which forced us to identify positive and negative factors. What stood out for me is how clear it was which teachers took the time to get to know their students and ensure their well-being as the main priority. It is those teachers that have inspired my passion for teaching and shown me what is truly important. Cross-curricular concepts. Part of teaching how to care for oneself and others is learning skills related to personal and social awareness, environmentalism, agriculture, health and well-being, and domestic skills. Core academic subjects have the potential to be woven into each of these examples to become cross-curricular. While subject areas depend on factors such as place and available resources, we have discussed the value in hands-on, real-world learning that goes beyond textbooks and lectures and encourages exploration, comprehension, and creating meaning from experience. Appropriate guidelines combined with professional development should be available in order to equip educators as best possible to be able to teach with authenticity, individualization, and care. There are numerous factors to consider when building a curriculum, and in light of the material covered in this course, as well as current events, the methodology involved in education also should be reassessed by revisiting concepts such as self-awareness, social awareness, self-learning, and a range of skills that have the potential to aid society in uncertain, difficult times. One activity that I have been reminded about was called current events in a social studies class years ago, in which each student would bring a news article to share and discuss with the class. This simple task not only provided students with information about the outside world, but encouraged questions and conversations about real people and real situations. Furthermore, the variety of news articles had the potential to include any and all academic subjects, which could facilitate lessons in different areas of academia. Anderson, 1995, states that, quote, current events can teach students how to make informed decisions by assessing information, end quote, page 66. Noting also that, quote, current events are often interpreted from different points of view, end quote, page 65. Personal and professional perspective. This perspective on the potential that curriculums have to be exemplary may seem overwhelming, but small changes can lead to big results, and it has to begin somewhere. Moreover, as external factors continue to change, so must the curriculum, and therefore we must consider how we can become comfortable with uncertainty in order to be flexible and adaptable. Martin, 1994, page 71, explains that, quote, the educated person's knowledge is not inert. It characterizes the person's way of looking at things and involves, quote, the kind of commitment that comes from getting on the inside of a form of thought and awareness, quote, end quote. That is to say, the educated person cares about the standards of evidence implicit in science or the canons of proof inherent in mathematics. Finally, the educated person has cognitive perspective, end quote. In the professional development program, a misconception addressed was that teachers might be considered experts, but it was encouraged for us to be open with our students and explain that in many ways, we are learning alongside them. Teaching students how to learn is a more important factor so that they can become guides of their own experiences. Hopefully, curiosity and reliable information sourcing is achieved as well. One study focused upon social ecology, and it suggests that, quote, thinking in systems fosters the understanding of dynamic interactions in complex social ecological systems, end quote, and that once system thinking is, quote, linked with values and ethics, it becomes vital for sustainable development, end quote, from Mulderez and Finesca, 2018. Thus, resources such as BC's revised curriculum that outline different thinking skills and connect them with core subjects are valuable and have the potential to support teachers in this quest to formulate the best possible approach to education. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this essay has provided some insight into what we hope can be a really positive experience for our kids throughout their educational journey. It's a lot to consider, it's a lot to implement, but being aware of the potential is the first step towards action and change. I'd love to hear what you think about it, or your experience in education, or if you have any questions, please feel free to either comment on my Instagram post about this or email me at commonchaospodcast@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.